You are in for a real treat. This episode was originally recorded for my other podcast, but for you, it's been upgraded and transformed, and now you have the Ask the Pro show. So everything mentioned in this episode will now be found on chrisdufay.com, plus so much more, as I've designed the Ask the Pro podcast and chrisdufay.com to give you exactly what you need to grow your business success and for you to have the money, the freedom, and the happiness you want, making a bigger and better impact to the world unselfishly. So now it's time to delve straight into this episode, and I want you to lap up and enjoy every single second of it. James, thank you very much, mate, for coming onto the Turning Pro Academy podcast. I really appreciate you taking your time out for myself and the listener. I'm really pumped up to have you here because you have had personally a huge impact for myself building the businesses that I have. So I know you're going to be able to give some wisdom out for the listener and to get them pulling their finger out and taking some action that's really going to create the result that they're looking for. So thank you, James.
My pleasure. Thanks, Chris.
I'd just love for you to give your own spiel. I don't really give the spiel on the guest, so you can have, say, 30 seconds. Tell the listener who you are, James, and why you're so phenomenal.
That's a pretty hard one, especially that last bit. I've got an online business called Superfast Business. I help other businesses with their online marketing. I've got coaching services, and we also build websites, and we do SEO. But before all of that, I used to run a Mercedes-Benz dealership as a general manager. So my real story is transitioning from working for someone else to starting my own online business and growing it into the multi-million-dollar business that it is today. And a lot of the things that I teach and talk about are the things that I've put into play in my own business that have worked not just for me, but also for students. And I'm seeing the results happen over and over again. And I'm pleased they're also working for you, Chris.
No, absolutely. They're working absolutely gangbusters, James. There's no doubt about that. So I think the best place for us to start is your concept that you have called Own the Racecourse has been something that I really sunk my teeth into when I really pulled my finger out and got it going. And the results were phenomenal straight off the bat. So could you give the listener, like, what is Own the Racecourse? How did you come about the OTR concept? And where do you think the power really comes from with it?
So the OTR concept, Own the Racecourse, it's kind of a saying that this crazy boss I used to have really drummed into me, and it was all about control. And it's about owning your own assets. So in the online context, it's building your platform. And for most people, that's your website on a domain that you control. And that's where you put your best stuff. And then you use other people's websites and things like your email list to magnify that. And a common mistake that people make, especially marketers when they're starting out, is they'll just take the easy option of perhaps setting up a Facebook page or a YouTube channel, and they'll put all their best stuff there. And then one day the platform might come along and say, oh, actually, you know what, we don't allow fitness topics on this platform, so we've closed your account. And overnight these businesses go bust. So it's not putting your assets on other people's platforms, it's creating your own racecourse. If you think about an actual racecourse, you know, some horses will win on the day, some will lose, some will get put down. Some bookies will make money, other bookies will lose money. You know, the hot dog store might make a profit, they might make a loss depending if the staff turn up. But the person who owns the race course is getting a toll from every person who comes through. They're going to get paid no matter which horse wins the race. So it's hosting that platform, and it's really an exercise in control, and it's a way of thinking about strategically, let's do the best we can with our content for us, and then we'll use these other sites to bring people back to our site.
I think it's phenomenal. I think it was a great point that you touched upon, especially with Facebook. I really see a trend in the fitness industry being people solely focusing on, say, their followings with Facebook and how that actually doesn't turn into, and especially dealing with so many of my clients now that at the top of their game in the fitness industry, but that doesn't equal monetization. That doesn't equal them actually building their business through the followings of their Facebook. It's so much deeper, and that's we've touched upon so well, obviously having your own platform and bringing everyone back to that, and then being able to build the relationships and the business from there.
Yeah, and a lot of this idea comes around farming, where you want to grow and nurture your customers. So think of it like an orchard, where you've established this world-class orchard, you're growing the most incredible produce, and people will flock to it. They'll come and see what it's all about. And occasionally you put a box of fruit out there in other marketplaces to show people what's available, but you've always got your brand on the box, and people come back to the orchard because that's where they get the good stuff.
I think that's great. Now, one thing that came to mind actually just before we hopped on this call was Pareto's Law, and it's something that you really honed in on a presentation that I saw you do, was obviously how 6% of your effort equals to over 50% of your results. So I would love to know what you think the common thread is with what entrepreneurs need to be focusing that 6% on.
Right. So, if you 80-20 the 80-20, because it's fractal, it means that 4% of the stuff you're doing gets 64% of the results. So what are those things? I think it's focusing on the customer relationship, putting that customer in the center of your business is a really important thing. And so many people are quick to go and look for new customers, but kind of ignore the customer they've already got. If you want examples of that, telephone companies, banks, etc., they're so focused on attracting new customers, they sort of ignore the good customers they've got. So it's about having great interaction programs with your existing customers and having those people so happy with what you're doing that they go and refer other people just because you're making a good supply for them, that you're really solving their problems. You make them feel that they're getting great results. So you've set up ways for them to acknowledge that. And that means you don't have to spend as much on advertising or attracting new customers, because the customers you've got will stick around. And one thing that's vital is to somehow figure out how you can have recurring subscriptions in your business. If you can figure out a way to get paid over and over again to solve a problem on a sustained basis, that is the key for a really profitable business.
You cheeky monkey, James. You took the question before I got there, mate, about the recurring community in business. Now, how do you think, and just depending on what your experience is with the fitness industry, how do you think someone, especially as a personal trainer, is going to create a recurring service-based business for themselves?
Well, I think it would be pretty straightforward. I mean, in your industry, obviously, a lot of gymnasiums have recurring fees, a monthly fee, for example. A lot of trainers I know are doing stuff like a 10-pack, for the price of 6 or 7. So that might be encouraging bulk purchases, but maybe they can run boot camps where people pay a monthly fee to come to as many boot camps as they want. Perhaps they could create a nutrition or a body measurement type service or club where they're paying a subscription to constantly update their measurements. I know one of my students is in the deadlifting type market, and he combines it with an app where people can monitor their weights that they're lifting, and he combines that with an education forum, and he's got thousands of members who are able to compare their stats and benchmark and talk about diet and technique, and they're all around the world. And I've got another client who's in the boot camp industry, and he provides basically training plans so that a fitness coach never has to think about what's new, what's out there. This guy can go and research it all and just provide it on an ongoing basis. So think about who of your customers keep buying from you and see if there's a way that might be more convenient for them. Much like the difference between prepaid phones versus the subscription. Yep. It's generally just a lot easier to be on a plan where you're just paying ongoing and you get a better deal than if you have to buy, keep topping up.
Do you also think this really comes into and relates to how obviously, say like a consultant or a trainer needs to package together their service as offers, and rather just kind of having like the one-off, but really selling it as a package and a program together, and then having to be able to yield the result from that?
Exactly. I'd suspect a lot of trainers are just thinking purely on a dollars per hour mindset.
Yeah, exactly.
Trading dollars per hour. I don't know too much about the market. I've only had a couple of clients in that area, but I'm guessing if they're like any other industry, they're thinking of what their training rate is per hour or half hour, and that's really their trading time for money. As soon as you start packaging services, you're in a better position. Imagine if you could have a package that is, say, $1,000 that a customer could order, but it also includes nutrition planning, body measurements, personal sessions with with the trainer and accountability journals or whatever, and then like regular checkups over a period. Let's say it's 3 months or 6 months. And if someone were to pay that up front, they could pay that, or they could pay in part payments, like 3 lots of $500 over 3 months. But they get an all-inclusive package that gives them the thing that the customer's really after, which is a result.
Yeah.
They don't want to buy a trainer's time per hour. They want to buy a better body. They want to buy a fitter, stronger body that people will look. They want to buy admiration and acknowledgement when they're sitting on the beach in their bikini. They want to buy an extra half an hour when they go windsurfing or canoeing. That's what they're paying for. But probably a lot of trainers think that the customer's trying to buy them on the hourly basis, and try and shift that from selling time for money to selling a result for money. And it may not involve the trainer at all. They might be able to sublet all of these components and just manage it.
Oh, and I guess that's the beauty of it, is actually scaling it and being able to step out of the business.
Exactly.
We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back in a split with so much more for you. Now, I know you're listening and tuning in because you know how important your health is and how this can also catapult your business. This is why I'm very happy to say that this podcast is sponsored by My Body Blends and my favorite, the Superfood Elixir, the powerful greens drink. Now, this is designed specially to boost energy, aids detoxification, enhances the ability to burn fat, supports healthy carbohydrate metabolism, and best of all, is voted best tasting greens drink. Now, myself and the My Body Blends team are looking for ambassadors to join, so you and your clients get the health benefits plus adding in a strong income stream for you and your business. The ambassador program, which is by application only, means you get exclusive access to sell My Body Blends products like Superfood Elixir to your clients, plus giving you the special ambassador pricing and bonuses. So once you become an ambassador, you can join the other top health and fitness players that are adding thousands to their week's income. Now, there is only a limited number of ambassadors we are taking on board, as this is a tribe leading the way together. So to apply and to join, go to mybodyblend.com/ambassador, or add the checkout code that is TurningPro, all one word, when you're going to get your own Superfood Elixir to order. Plus, you're going to get free shipping and a bonus to save yourself over $250 instantly. So just use that coupon code TurningPro in the checkout and you can save over $250 right now, all on mybodyblend.com. So how do you think someone can further their scaling of the business in a consulting sort of base service?
Well, the thing is to work out packages that aren't time intensive, whether it's online subscriptions, whether it's selling an app, whether it is hiring or subcontracting things like dietitians and gym instructors, and then selling a package where you get to pay all of the contractors and keep a profit for not actually having to do the work. So it's thinking about package design and the offers you're making.
I guess it, again, just leads back to actually giving the result to the person paying it, because they're not paying for your time. They're actually paying for something that's going to make their life a lot better.
Yeah, and it's not about more stuff. It's not about needing 10 hours in the gym. If you could promise someone the same ripped body with 3 minutes worth of exercise a week that you could also get if you spend 3 hours a week, guess which one the customer would choose?
Exactly right.
All right, they're going to go for the one with the least amount of effort. So you want to think about this from your perspective as a fitness trainer. What can I deliver someone that they feel absolutely fabulous with, that they feel they've got a tremendous result for their investment, but doesn't involve enormous amounts of my time? Perhaps it might involve time, but maybe I could hire someone else to do those things.
So with your experience with your clients and yourself, how do you find someone working in the offline world can use the online world and then kind of bring it back again?
Some of the things I found are really handy is, the tools that I use to run my online team would also work really well in an offline business, because when you're offline, so when you're online and your team is scattered around in all different houses, imagine I've got 50 people in my business and they're all in a different location. We have to have very good culture and very good communication and very good routines to make the business run. If you were to go to most normal businesses, they usually have a terrible routine and poor communication, even though they might be sitting in the same office or in the same suburb. It's generally the closer we get, the more complacent we get with our systems and our routines. So I think having really solid routines and communication rituals is a great way to get better results from a traditional business.
I think it's beautiful. So how do you think, let's start at the top of the funnel for the trainer. How do you think they should start bringing in their leads that you see working?
I think they should see where their leads are already coming from and do more of what's working.
Perfect. And then how do you think people should start putting them through the conversion process?
Well, I think it's a matter of, if you take the own the racecourse approach, I think it'd be a great idea to build a database. So for me, I like to collect an email address. I also think in your field, an SMS might be a very handy tool, but you'll want to be capturing details of prospects. There's people who have expressed an interest in what you do, and you want to have a way to move them into a customer. And generally you'll do that by making an offer, and the offer should be so compelling that they can't refuse it.
So I guess a big part of how the OTR works so well, kind of like swinging it back around, is obviously producing top quality content and being able to leverage that content into giving you the end result. So how do you think content, or what sort of trends are you seeing lately that content's really starting to be powerful with?
Well, obviously you have things like infographics. They seem to get shared. In your market specifically, I'm absolutely certain that pictures of food and hot bodies and, that sort of stuff works really well for that market. Workout poses, gym equipment, food. Funny memes that mock weight powder and all this sort of stuff. I think that stuff would be pretty popular in your space. So finding things that people could share, but also I would be doing lists, like 7 foods you should never ever eat unless you want to be obese, or 7 health foods that are really going to make you fat. So things that are maybe counterintuitive that are very curiosity-based, that compel people to want to surrender an email address to get this report. And from there, you're in a perfect position to continually update people when there's new information and to let them know about your newest course or your newest diet plan or your newest ebook or your newest boot camp.
I think a big part of it as well is also really being able to leverage the content that you already create. And I think that's something you've taught to your students so well, is obviously, like, let's say, for instance, we're doing this podcast right now, and what we can do is then put this podcast up on iTunes. You can run through other platforms. We can get this sucker transcribed, put it onto the blog post as well. Then we can turn this into an infographic from, say, the top pieces this content has in it, a couple of quotes, throw an image up there of, say, both you and I, and obviously then being able to get that out into the big wide world, make it work for us.
Exactly. You can even take the audio and put pictures to it and make a video from it. You can make a SlideShare video out of it with PowerPoint. So a lot of places you can put the information so that you can hopefully capture the attention of the right person. You might also keep it as private content and you make it something that people can have a high perceived value in. You could give it a sexy headline like join my newsletter and receive some powerful insights from one of the top online business coaches so that you can double your health business profit in the next 12 months and halve your workload, and you could give it some supporting documents. So there's a lot of things you can do. In fact, if you want to take it to another step, when you're on someone else's podcast, you can at the very least record your side of the conversation and have that transcribed and turned into infographics, and you can leverage content that normally wouldn't have even hit your own website. And that's how much you can take the OTR concept.
It's so powerful because there's so many ways to take it, and I think so many people need to get in this. Another point I think is really important that I've seen great results from implementing in my businesses is obviously the use of video. I think so many people are just afraid of getting in front of the camera, and that's really stopping them being able to connect with the audience and being able to get the audience to act the way that they want. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I think your market's extremely visual, and you could do like what you've done and hire a model to be your Skype picture. Get some ripped strong guy, and you could have an avatar. But I'm joking there, folks. That probably is you, Chris, is it?
That is me.
Yeah, you're quite well built. So I imagine that carries a lot of credibility in your market. So if you do happen to have a body like Chris Duffy, you'll put it everywhere, because anyone who's in that market is going to instantly vibe with that. They're going to know, okay, whatever this guy's doing to get a body like that, I could probably learn something from him. So the credibility and the trust is there. So use image marketing in that industry, especially. When you get into dorkier industries like software, different things might appeal to the audience, like spreadsheets and calculators and apps. But in your market, there's no doubt that the visual medium is extremely activating.
Absolutely. And I think a big part of it is I think for the trainer, or you have to be able to show that you walk the walk. And look, I've always said it, I'm completely upfront about it. Obviously, I put my physique and health up as a top priority because I have to show that I can do it. And I think maybe, say, for an online marketer, that they have to show that they bring in the dollars, because that's also a big part of it. And they're going through it. And I think something that Gary Vaynerchuk shows really well every time I listen to him, he's always trying to talk about that you have to earn your chops and you have to do it right. And I think especially in the online world, especially unfortunately that I see a lot of online coaches for the actual fitness industry, if I can actually have a bit of a whip at them, is they're actually not walking the walk. They're not getting the results. And I know a lot of people that simply just aren't earning the money in their businesses, and they're going out there and trying to teach people about that.
Exactly. I think it's important to build up credibility and proof, and to do it in an ethical way. And, it's pretty easy to Photoshop a check or a screenshot of income, so you've got to be very careful with how you represent it. But there's, not much else says success than having successful students, sharing their stories on your site. I think that's a really great way. Yes, it works for you, but does it work for your students? And so when it comes to my higher level programs, I mainly feature my students just sharing some insights as to what sort of results they got. And that helps people be more confident that I'm the right person to help them, because they can see, well, hang on, it's not just one guy tooting his own horn. Yeah. There's several other people here with their real names on video talking about the program. And that's a very important element if you can generate it. And let's face it, most people have an iPhone. So if you don't want to go on camera, that's fine. Just get your students to say something nice about you and put them on your website.
I think that's completely true, because for an actual physique coach internship that I and another business partner just ran, I actually got the camera out and then shot all of them actually having a bit of a spiel about what they got out of it on the last day. And that's proven to be the most powerful tool to get sales for all the other courses, because it just shows you straight up front people connecting through the power of video and imagery and actually saying what they've gotten out of it. And that's it better than any copy that I could have come up with.
Exactly. And the truth is more compelling than something that's fabricated. So if you can, quite often you'll be surprised with the way that people get results from your programs, sometimes, in a different way than you ever anticipated. And it's a really organic and natural way to speak the language of your market, is to have your actual market speaking the language, and then other people just like them will really relate to that. So for that reason, it's important to get a good mix of your whole customer base, whether you have old or young, or male, female, different ethnicities, different levels of advancement, are all going to help you relate to the right type of customer.
All right. Now, I'm going to go flip this on its head. This isn't what we've been talking about so far. I think a bit of your je ne sais quoi, a bit of your genius, James, is actually how you simplify things, and also how you structure out your work and your planning. That's something that I've really gotten from you. So I'd love to first you to tell the listener, how do you think a business owner and entrepreneur should go about structuring at least their week and their day out?
Well, for me, I like to partition things off, and I was aware of this concept a long time before I could make it habit. But having a routine is what actually sets you free. And it sounds counterintuitive. By actually saying, yes, I'll be available on these certain times, it feels like, oh, now I'm no longer that free-spirited entrepreneur. But as soon as you say, these are the times I'm available, guess what? That means there's other times that are not available. So now you've protected time for you. So for me, I like to protect Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday for me. And I schedule things for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And when it comes to scheduling, I'm even using a scheduling tool. It's called Schedule Once. And that's where people can book a time and tell me all the things that I need to know for that call in advance. And it automatically adds them to my calendar. So I'm now cutting out that whole to and fro of phone calls and emails. Now it just arrives in my calendar. And automatically I just check my day in advance and I know what I'm in for.
Yep, sorry, keep going, James.
Well, and another thing is you want to be really seriously filtering the amount of inputs that you have, because a lot of people are just spending all day responding to emails. And so for that reason, I really cut down how many things I subscribe to and who I'm prepared to take information from. And I keep it to the minimum possible so that I've got more time for thinking and more time for doing instead of just reading and responding.
I think so. That's so true, because people are just being reactive all day from the moment they get up. And that's absolutely killing their productivity, because like I myself, I use time trade, say, with my scheduling. So, and as you said, it's so brilliant because I've got interviews I've got to get done. I've got calls I've got to do with clients, and everything is completely automated. They have the link, they book themselves in. I know what's coming up the next day and I just take care of it. But I think a big part of it as well is also that routine that you touched upon. And I think something that's really made a big impact on myself is having a morning routine and being able to get the day firing from the start, not sort of getting behind the eight ball like so many people do when they sort of maybe jump on their email or their Facebook Messenger, and then the whole day they're just chasing their tail.
And one of the secrets to getting a good start in the morning is to have a cut-off time at night where no matter what you're doing, you say, right, that's it. Computer's off, lights out, I'm stopping this. Because, any budding entrepreneur has probably experienced the 2, 3, 4 a.m. all-nighter where you think you're getting more done and just pushing over that hump.
Yeah.
But you ruin the next day. You're just useless for the first half of the day. If you don't sleep in, you're not very productive if you're awake. And then you start to get on the old caffeine train to jiggle some performance out of yourself.
Which never really worked.
No, I've really found, I probably spent a couple of decades with not enough sleep and too much coffee. And I've found now that I'm much more serious about getting a good night's sleep. I'm waking up without an alarm clock, naturally. I'm feeling very motivated and productive. I'm doing physical activity every single day. I surf, so I'm always out surfing every day. It's part of the routine, and I structure my work around that to make it, to facilitate that. So I have big gaps in between my work sessions. I have a session in mid-morning through to lunchtime, and I have a session mid-afternoon till the afternoon on the Wednesday and the Thursday. And in between that, I've got lots of time for surfing, and after that, I've got time for surfing, and before that, I've got time for surfing. So I feel if I miss out on a surf, then I've compromised my day and I didn't plan it well enough.
Do you plan it to where the swell is?
Yeah, you plan it around the tides.
There we go. Now we're talking. All right, James. Now, before we delve into the last couple of questions that I ask everyone on this podcast, what do you think is the most important thing an entrepreneur needs to focus on to actually get results?
Doing the right things.
Oh, very good, because that was a damn broad question and you nailed it. All right, last two questions. Just answer as quick as it comes to your head. What is your definition of happiness?
The ability to have no compromise.
Very good. And what are you grateful for today?
Grateful that I managed some 4-foot waves without injuring myself or my equipment.
Very good. All right. Now, James, how can the listener learn more about yourself? Because I know I'm going to see you in just over a month at your live event in Manly. So obviously I want to give a plug because it's very well due.
Thank you. I'm really looking forward to seeing you there. It's a fabulous event. Head along to superfastbusiness.com. Have a look at some of the posts there. Lots of interviews where we talk about all types of topics. And there's a search tool there. I recommend you use the search tool, try a topic that you really want to learn about, and I bet you there's an interview about it on there.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much, James. I really appreciate you taking your time out for myself and the listener, and I'm looking forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks, Chris.
So now it's time for you to click on over to chrisdufay.com. That's chrisdufey.com to get all the guides and show notes. And if you are wanting the workshops where I walk you through how to build your online business, click on over to chrisdufay.com/start here. This is where I can give you the exact training guides and the workshops for exactly where you're at and the answers that you need. Now, every Friday I'm coming back to you with a new episode. So be sure to subscribe, and if you haven't already, you're going to be getting the world's best insights, the advice and the answers to give you the business, the money, the freedom and the success and happiness that you want. And I want to give you a huge muchas gracias for being here with me. And as always, get in touch with me via the site or via social, as Ask the Pro is about me giving you the answers that you need. So ask away.